Welcome to the Emerging Professional Series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum, TEIF, and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Decoding Technology and Governance with Sriharsha Narasimhan, a technology strategist at technoservices.in, independent director, former CTO at Hewlett Packard Enterprise, with over 37 years of global experience. Sriharsha has helped shape the future of digital transformation, cybersecurity, ESG, and risk management. From building cutting-edge R&D teams to advising boards on sustainability and resilience, his journey is a masterclass in turning complex technologies into board-level strategies. Today, we'll explore not just his professional milestone, but also the person behind the title. So, welcome, Sriharsha, to today's coffee conversation. It's raining and it will be a wonderful conversation, but the bhajiyas are missing.
Thank you very much, Amir, for
The
inviting
coffee
me.
is there. Coffee is there.
Coffee is there, very much. Okay, and thank you very much, Amir, for inviting me for the Coffee Conversation episode. It's a great pleasure to be talking to you. Okay, yes, I'm missing the bhajia of Mumbai a lot. So,
Yeah. I'll treat you when you in Mumbai. Huh?
sure.
Let's. I just wanted to explain you. There will be three rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a rapid fire round where you will be in the hot seat.
Mhm.
And here's your inspiration gift: is your organization cyber healthy? So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Con, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal, startup SMEs, world-class technology and software licensing and tech training solutions. So my first question, Shrihars, after nearly 4 decades in tech, what do you see the most transformative moment in your career and how has the journey been till date?
Interestingly, looking back at the 40 years, it was around 41 years back. Okay, just around this time of the year that I had my first opportunity to touch a computer in my engineering lab. Okay, so, and computer was not a household name back in those days. Okay, and you didn't have that many computer engineers either, not many colleges offering the courses. So it was a moment of anxiety for me to get into that engineering course. But cracking through the academic part, I've had a lot of twists and turns, and I've also been at the forefront of many of these technologies as they are emerging. Okay, instance of that is we didn't have phone lines back then. Okay, but I got an internship at CDOT, wherein I was working on a data card. Okay, so that was the first data card that they were trying to get into their exchange. Okay, so that's where my journey started. Okay, and then after that, there are multiple instances where I've seen my career transforming. Okay, and few big ones are I ended up going to US, working there on cutting edge technologies. Okay, working with cross culture teams, which was something that is an experience I nourish. More than anything else, after 20 years in R&D, I decided I'll move to sales. And this is something not many people get into. And this was a great journey for me because it will help me in leveraging everything that I learned in the 20 years in consultative sales. And this is where I discovered that, yes, as an engineer, I used to be an introvert, but now I have transformed myself. Okay, so rallying the global teams and then the relationships that we had to have with multiple organizations. Okay, so this has been the transformation that I experienced in the past. Now I'm looking at how do I take everything that I did in my executive role and bring it into a non-executive role as a board director, and then see how I can help companies in prospering and doing better.
Wow. So let's dive deep in conversation. As you have shared about you have been into R&D. You have worked across software R&D, technology advisory, cybersecurity, governance, consultative selling. What thread connects them all?
That one. Okay, but what happens is, yes, I've enjoyed various aspects in my career. Interestingly, when I started my career, we were not allowed to lock our PCs, desktops, with password. Okay, they said no passwords on laptop desktops. That's because the systems were shared by multiple people, and we didn't have the concept of multi-user back then. Okay, so cybersecurity norms were kind of lax in those days. But as a software developer, there were a lot of governance aspects, there were a lot of frameworks, there were a lot of rules that we had to follow. Okay, and you cannot steer from that because those are the principles that you work with, and those are the principles that guide you and make you the best. And when you look at it from that perspective, okay, it's a make or break. And you have a lot of reviews that happen, you have a lot of external testing that happens, and then you're supposed to bring out something that is going to be literally defect free, okay, which is nearly impossible to achieve. And then the next aspect is I got involved in working on two operating systems, enterprise class operating systems. And there, cybersecurity was something that was the second nature, because in everything that we had to do, we had to ensure that cybersecurity factors are not compromised and there's no room for somebody to hack it. Okay. And I remember in one of my initiatives that I was working with, okay, there was a merger and acquisition that happened between two companies, Hewlett Packard and Compaq. And in that, I was chartered with integrating the India centers with the US network and US infrastructure. And cybersecurity review alone took about roughly 70 to 90 days just to get a sign off, making sure that we have covered everything and everything. Okay. So I took all those experiences and brought it into my consultative sales. Okay. Because that is what customers were looking for. Okay. How do I benefit from my technology? And when I look at the governance aspect in the new role that I'm getting into, okay, the foundations that got laid back in my career is something that's going to help me. And more than anything else, okay, some of the compliances that we had to go through being part of MNC, okay, SOX compliance and then Basel, all of that. Okay, we were doing it as routine and became a practice for us, but it helped us in a big way. And today, I'm able to look at it from legal perspective and then connect that. So governance is something that's come as part of my journey, and it's not something I knew that I need to practice. Okay, so the most common thing is the frameworks that we set in software development is going to help me with where I'm headed now.
Wow. So, Srihars, what are the key elements for a successful consultative selling?
You need to understand what your customer wants. It's not what you have as a product. And this was a lesson that I learned a hard way. Okay, so I was there in a startup in US, and one of my managers wanted me to go and meet a customer and talk to them about the product and give them a demo. And he said, "You know about the product, so why don't you take care of this?" I'm sitting in front of the customer, and it was 100% flop because I knew what is what, but I didn't know how to demonstrate on the demo system.
Mhm.
Okay. So after that, I came back and then I looked at what is what and then put together my own demo system. But literally, when you are looking at any product or any technology or any concept you're trying to sell, the storyline is different. You need to understand what is the customer is going to use. What is it the customer wants? Okay, you may have 100 features, but if the feature that the customer is looking for is not available in a simple form in the product or concept that you're trying to sell, it's going to be 100% not fit for the customer. Okay, so when you look at consultative selling, you look at how do you understand the customer's business and customer's mindset, their capabilities. And from there, look at how do you fit what you're trying to sell into their model and enable them to get the best out of the capabilities that you have. I
Wow,
know this is
beautiful.
a very long answer,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I know. It's another topic where I want to plan a panel discussion on consultative selling.
Mhm.
Uh, or yes, so that will be an interesting one. So
Yes.
I need your help in that. So let's continue our conversation. What's the biggest challenge boards face today when it comes to understanding digital transformation, according to you?
First thing is, let's acknowledge that the digital transformation is a very, very broad topic. There are multiple technologies that contribute to it. Okay. And then it's not going to be like I buy digital transformation. It's more of I build digital transformation. But given that, the first and foremost that I see is digital literacy at the board. Not all boards have board members who are savvy on the digital side. I know many of the board members, directors, and independent directors, they are trying to catch up and then come up to speed. And some of them are doing exceptionally well. But still, when you look at the long term aspect of a board, the capabilities are not there in all the boards or in many of the boards as well. Interestingly, last week I was looking at some statistics that was being presented by somebody in human resources in terms of what's the skill set that's there in the board. And 90% of that was leaning towards legal and statutory. And technology was sitting at about 40%, and cybersecurity was sitting at 20%. And that 20% for cybersecurity is kind of scary because you expect the board governance to be ensuring that the organization is well secure. Okay, so first and foremost is going to be the digital literacy. And second thing that's going to be there is technology is moving at a very, very fast pace now,
Hmm.
which is a huge challenge for all of us. Okay, by the time you start getting familiar with the phone features are obsolete. You have the next version coming out. Okay. And there used to be a time in technology wherein we could measure in terms of number of years before which we could see a next version of it coming out. But today, that shrunk to quarters. So, from a board perspective, they need to look at how do I balance this? And over a period of time, we have invested a lot in technology. So, there's legacy, there's silo, there's a lot of data. And no digital transformation is successful without having the right data available for the transformation. Okay, that's
Wow.
the third aspect that's there. And last and the most important one is you have a lot of legal and regulatory norms that are coming up. Okay,
Yes.
and that's again evolving at a very fast pace. It might have taken a century or more than a century for Company Act to get reformed. But now the IT Act is getting reformed very much faster than what was there in the past. So these would be the challenges I see at the board level. And they'll need to look at how do I get the best out of this.
Wow. So my next question, how do you balance rapid innovation with the need for compliance and regulation?
Interesting. You cannot look at compliance and regulation separately.
Hmm.
It has to be integral part of everything that you do. Okay. The moment you separate the two, the challenge I see is you'll not be able to justify the innovation nor justify your compliance part. Okay. So rather than looking at them separately, we'll start looking at how do I do responsible innovation? Okay. And start looking at it from where it fits in the strategy. Do I need to tweak my strategy itself? Okay. And then how it fits into the regulations. And compliance wise, there's a possibility that I need to look at India and outside as well. Okay. And bringing all of that together is going to be one challenge. Second challenge that I see is I need a very, very strong leadership who has got the mindset of governance. And the moment I bring these two together, okay, then I have a lot of opportunities that I can bank on. Interestingly, at the board level, it's okay to make mistakes. I've seen many MNCs betting something big and failing, acknowledging that it failed, and then restructuring so that they recover. And when they recover, they come back very, very strong. So that's the mindset we need to have with innovations so that we are able to cash on it in the best possible way.
Wow. Okay. My next one. ESG and BRSR are gaining importance. How do you see technology driving sustainability in the next 5 years?
So when I look at ESG and BRSR, I view ESG as a responsibility, governance responsibility, BRSR as a reporting responsibility, unfortunately. Okay. And if we take a look at it from that perspective, it's going to be a huge challenge because the moment you come up with your BRSR report, you'll have the whole world looking at it and saying, okay, this is not enough.
Yes.
Okay, so ESG needs to be viewed as an opportunity rather than a compliance.
Yes.
Okay, and with that mindset, seeing many organizations, especially in the automotive sector, they are able to cash on this and then see how they can convert whatever future implications are there from ESG perspective and from sustainability perspective into profitable ventures. Okay, and we are seeing a lot of new products coming primarily from that perspective, and they are going to be a lot more efficient. So, in my view, as long as the organizations start looking at ESG from a or from an innovation perspective and opportunity perspective, there's going to be a lot of benefit. I'll give you an example here. Okay, late 80s, we were looking at seeing how we can transfer, late 90s, it was, we were looking at how do you translate something which was all manual into a digital format. Okay. And we were helping one organization which was into taking notes on clipboards and having paper and then translating that, okay, or transferring that information into computer. Okay. So we said, why not use Palm Pilot, which was a very new personal device that came out. So we built an app on a PDA, Palm Pilot, and then made it available to this customer. And they said, wow, okay, this is going to cut on the amount of time that I'm going to be spending on all this. And in a way, they were able to reduce the amount of stationery that they were using as well. So ESG is not something new for us. Okay, this has been a practice that's been there for ages. And today, it's got more significance because we have the ability to destroy the world by through some of our bad practices.
Wow. Okay. My next one. Cybersecurity risks evolve every day. How do you prepare organizations to stay resilient in today's time?
Stay resilient is a very, very good mantra. Okay, because that's the focus has to be. Um, like I started my discussion in the first 3, 4 years, I didn't have to have a password or remember any passwords. Okay. And you just turn the system on, okay, it's up and it's available to you to work with. And it doesn't matter whose system you're working with, okay, it's okay to log in and use it. Or use it, there's no login concept. Okay. So in today's world, we cannot live without cybersecurity. And it's going to be hard for anyone to look at building a fortress or any kind of security measure wherein you're going to get 100% protection. Okay. There's no possibility of building anything which cannot be hacked. Okay. Given that, you acknowledge that there's always a possibility of somebody hacking or somebody attacking, and see how we can be prepared. And in being prepared, there are 3 steps. There's going to be a set of measures that you will take for making sure that you are able to prevent some of the known issues, like your antivirus, okay, strong password, all of that. And then you're going to use certain software to help detect in case something goes wrong. But more than anything else, we need to make sure that organizations are ready to respond fast to the issues that they discover. Okay. And if I can make my detection and response as fast as possible, I'm bringing in the resilient aspect for the organization. Okay. And this is a journey that is not taken by your CISO or the CIO and team. It's an organization-wide journey. Okay. So very first place where I'm going to start is I'm going to be starting with cyber awareness, making sure that everyone in the organization knows what their role in cybersecurity is and what is it that they need to be protecting and what is it that they need to be detecting and responding to. Okay, like if there's a phishing email, I need to be detecting that that's a bad email I should not be opening, and I should definitely not click on the link, but report that to somebody so that they can make sure that that's taken care of.
Wow.
And so this is a journey that I'll be recommending any organization take.
Beautiful. So let's go to next one. Having built global teams, what's your secret to nurturing talent that thrives across cultures?
So I worked in US for about 10 years. And in one of my early projects, my manager was a army veteran. Okay. And then I had one more employee, a colleague of mine, who used to drive trucks in US, the long rigs, okay, the 18-wheelers. Okay. And then he said, I want to come up, get into a new career. And he went through evening classes and all that. And he was part of our team working on product releases and builds. That's a very, very important role. And then in that role, he was interacting with all our team members, okay, helping us with issues that we were seeing. Okay, so this got me thinking that your team is not always going to have high performers.
Yes.
You're going to have a team which is going to be a cross-culture team.
Yeah.
And this was a different perspective in US because we had team members coming from across the world. And when I localized the problem in India, we have team members coming from across the states, all the states. Okay, so that's one commonality that's there. Now, the second aspect that I want to look at a team as is you're building a jigsaw puzzle and you have the vision of what the end state image is going to be like. And no part in this jigsaw puzzle is going to be perfect. There are going to be twists and turns and different types of shapes. And you need to figure out how they all fit and work together to build your end image. And that gives a very, very different perspective. I know HR may not agree to this philosophy, but at least you are able to visualize what capabilities are useful, what capabilities are strong in the team, and how you leverage them. Okay. And more than anything else, you are part of the team. You are not sitting at the top or you are not in a throne. So when you're part of the team, show that you know what's going on and you get your hands dirty when there's a crisis, when there are issues. Okay, help the team solve the problems.
Yes.
That's the best way to build your global team or any team for that matter. Because ultimately, we are looking at how do I get the best out of all the members to get to where we are.
Wow. Okay. Uh, as you said, okay, you also mentor. So, what's been the most memorable moment in your mentoring sessions?
It's more in terms of having a conversation and getting the other person realize where the challenges are. Okay. And then giving them pointers how to address those challenges rather than me talking about what should be the approach for solving. Okay. And there are two ways I look at it. One is there's a portion where I need to give the gyan to the person in terms of what's going on, what's the big picture, and what is it that they are missing. Okay. Because as a mentor, I need to look at what's the area that the mentee is looking at and how I can widen that. Okay. So that's the approach that I've used. And in a way, it's helped
Wow.
in many
Okay.
instances.
So, Shreyas, how different is advising as an independent director compared to leading as a CTO? Now, I want to divide in two parts. The first part is this part. And what inspired you or motivated you to become an independent director, and what are the roles and responsibilities?
Ah, So, first and foremost, CTO role was an executive role, and independent director's role is non-executive. Okay. So that's the distinction that I want to draw. And that's the distinction I'm trying to practice. Okay, because it's
Mm.
very, very hard to change from what you did for 30 years overnight.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when I was working as the CTO, the discussions that we had, okay, were more in terms of, yeah, okay, there's a problem, there's a product, okay, how do you fix the two? How do you map the two to get the best out of everything that we are doing? Okay. Whereas when I start looking at it from board perspective, my challenge is very different. Then also, I want to acknowledge one thing. My CTO role was an organic progression. Okay, I grew up on the technology world. Okay, and I literally have had the opportunity to work on multiple or literally every technology that exists today. Okay, the only thing that I'm saying that I'm not touched is quantum compute because that's something that doesn't exist today or it's evolving. Now, when I look at the independent director role, that's actually a different track. Okay, I need to take the train that's running at a fast pace in my CTO role and switch tracks onto something wherein instead of looking at it from the customer's perspective and from my business perspective, I'm actually looking at it from the stakeholders' perspective.
Yes.
Okay, and one good part about my CTO role was there were a lot of regulatory compliances which were there. Okay, being in MNC, okay, I had to understand the rules and issues that can pop up in Europe, UK, US, every part of the world. Okay, so it kind of got drilled into it with all our standards of business conduct and other trainings that we were going through and certifications that we had to do quarter every year. Okay. Now I need to look at everything that I learned as a CTO, but my viewpoint is the investors, the stakeholders. Okay. And to me, it's going to be like somebody who is a company secretary or somebody who's coming from legal perspective or chartered accountant, asking them to be on a board of a technology company. So that's what the challenge that I see. And to fix that, in the last 18 months, I've been investing my time in understanding the corporate laws for India and outside. Okay. So at one point, okay, I was looking at constitution and said, yes, that's something that's handled in the parliament. But today, my viewpoint is very, very different. It's something that's practiced by every citizen.
Wow. Okay. So my next question. Looking ahead, how do you see AI will most shape boardroom decisions in the next 5 years?
So AI is the big thing today. Okay, everyone is talking about it. And it's also a piece of technology that's changing a lot. Okay. But one thing that I see is it's very, very uh, sectorial. If you talk to somebody in banking, their viewpoint of AI is going to be different from folks in manufacturing, folks in healthcare, life sciences. So every industry is going to be looking at AI in a different way. Okay. Now, in the next 5 years, I foresee that AI becomes integral part of every technology that we work with.
Yes.
Today, we are running a lot of initiatives with AI, but over a period of time, AI gets integrated. Okay, and in the industry, they say that AI will become something similar to electricity, where you know it exists, and you know that without that you cannot live, but you don't have to do anything about it. It's all taken care of. Okay. But I'll give you a different perspective on this. Okay. If you had seen technology about 15, 20 years back, the concept of graphical user interface was there in some technologies, it wasn't there in some technologies. Okay. And in some places, you had to pay more in order to get licenses for your graphical user interface. And today, it's your integrated part of everything that we use. And in fact, there are a sector of folks who don't know how to use a system which doesn't have a graphical user interface. Okay. So AI is going to become something similar to that. And from a boardroom perspective, we need to be watching. Okay, how do I take this as an opportunity and cash on it? But more than AI, there are two more areas that I'll draw your attention to. Okay, since we also spoke about graphical user interface. There's something that's brewing up in your virtual reality, augmented reality, which is transforming into something called mixed mode reality. Okay, and that is something that's promising as well. And then we are going to be hitting the ceiling with AI, and that's where quantum technology comes into picture. Okay, so these are the game changers that the board members need to be looking at in terms of how do I cash on it? How do I get the best out of it? Okay, so that
Wow.
I'm able to deliver better results to my stakeholders.
Wow. So my last question for our professional journey round, what advice would you give to young tech professionals who want to evolve into role of technology strategist?
Ah, tough one. It's going to be the same advice I need to give my kids.
Yeah.
Tough one because when I look back on my journey, there were a lot of time that I had to spend in libraries, in bookstores to read through material. Okay. And the reason why I had to spend that was because I needed that information. Second thing is, I knew that when I go there next time, I may not find that book.
Mm.
Okay, somebody else would have taken it. So I need to get the best out of the time I was spending to get what I wanted. And with internet being so available, we know the content is always there. Okay, so we may not go very, very deep into what we need to know. And that shallowness is the one that's going to hurt us on a long run. Okay, so my advice to the next generation is try to understand the inner workings of everything that you are trying to work on. Okay, because that's going to help you in the long run. Yeah, then, and that's what is going to make you the technology strategist that you need.
Wow, beautiful answer. So let's go to next one and understand Srihars as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
So my family is me, my wife, and two kids. Okay, I was born and brought up in Bangalore. Uh, a lot of what we are today, okay, as our family and as myself, okay, all goes back to my parents. Okay, uh, my father was very, very disciplined and structured in literally everything that he did. Okay, I still have some of the uh, budgetary notes that he used to have for home. Okay, lying around. Okay, so and then yeah, he came from the age where paper and pencil, okay, were your sources for doing anything. Okay, and then my mom was a very, very avid reader. Okay, till her very last few days. Okay, she was very, very keen on making sure that she reads magazines, she reads material that's there. And primarily, she was looking at both Hindi and Kannada material. Interestingly, she didn't have any formal schooling. It's all self-taught. Okay. So they were a huge influence to me, my siblings, my children. Okay, because their interest was to make sure that all of us had formal education and we graduated. Okay. Other thing that I saw as a benefit was I was enrolled into a English medium school from the beginning. And till my third grade, all my teachers were Anglo Indians. So all your diction, what you say, how you say, your accent, everything is as per what they were teaching. And the principal of the college, the school, was very, very strict on this. If he comes to the class and asks a question, you are supposed to respond in English and no options there. Okay. And that helped me a lot when I landed in US in 80s because it was very, very easy for me to fit into the culture over there and be part of the team so that we are productive on day one and I didn't have to understand what they were saying. So everything that's happening in my family, okay, and then what we are doing. In fact, one of the things that we did was I would talk to my kids in English and my wife would talk to them in English as well, whereas my parents would talk to them in native language. Okay, so interestingly, what happened was when they are talking to me or my wife, it's going to be in English. The moment they are responding to any of my cousins or anyone else, okay, the language switches, the diction switches, everything changes. So this was very, very interesting for me to watch as they were growing.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so my next one. What's your go-to way to unwind after a long day of strategy and board meetings?
A creative way. Okay, so most of my go to, okay, it's changed over a period of time. Okay, but primarily it all depends on how hard the day is. If it's been a bad day, then rock music, so that something is pounding on you. Okay, but most of the other days, it's going to be smooth jazz. Okay, so and then yes, you also have Indian classical. This is one round of activities. And Bangalore, when you need to come back from your workplace home, it's a long drive.
Yes.
Okay. So at times it will be 90 minutes. So you need to stay alert, you need to stay engaged and not worry about what happened at work. So turn on the music, enjoy the ride. And like what we see in the Google Maps, what you are given as a red carpet, try to get the most out of it.
Wow.
That's my go to. And with work from home, it's now shifted to music and OTT and long
Yeah.
walks.
Wow. Okay. What's a childhood memory that still inspires you?
Okay. So when I came back from school, okay, every evening. So we used to have classes from 12 noon to 5 in the evening. And when I'm walking back into the house, okay, opening the gate, there would be nice aroma of what my mom would have cooked for the evening snack. Okay. So I could guess what she had prepared, okay, at the gate. And then as I'm entering the house, okay, I would tell her what's ready. Okay. And that gave me a very, very different perspective. I'm a foodie, primarily because of that, I would say. Okay. And at one point, I could use my olfactor sensors to smell food and then see if there's excess salt, masala is right. Okay, some of that. And even today, I use some of that, okay, when food is being prepared at home and when I'm cooking as well. So, this is the best memory that I can cherish, okay, because Janmashtami used to have a lot of variety of food, okay, and then you're not allowed to eat on that day till the puja is completed. So, okay, you have a 24-hour window of smelling everything. Okay, so that's something that's stood out all my life.
Wow. So, which is that book, movie, or OTT series which just left a lasting impact on you?
So, book more. I use books for more from learning and unwinding perspective. Okay, films have had a huge impact on me. Okay, I've enjoyed old Bollywood movies because my parents used to be movie buff. Okay, they used to go to theaters and then they would drag us also along. So I've enjoyed movies from that perspective. Okay. From a movie series perspective, my favorite is anything that comes out of Walt Disney Studios. Okay. Be it animation or be it live, okay, whatever is there, okay, it's going to have a uniqueness in terms of how they build the storyline, how they build everything. Okay. On the books front, my go-to has been Amar Chitrakatha from my childhood. And now I have the complete collection of ACK, which my kids are cherishing as well. And they're saying that you're not going to sell that. Okay, I'm going to be keeping it. Interestingly, okay, my mom used to get annoyed in my engineering exam days because just before the exam, I would be sitting with the Asterix comics and trying to steer clear my mind so that I'm not having the anxiety and walking into
Yes.
the exam hall. Okay.
Wow.
So now, okay, with a lot more online material available, okay, I've subscribed to a couple of uh, book libraries so
Hmm.
that I can look at any topic that I need.
Wow,
Okay.
beautiful.
But still, my go to is going to be Disney movies. Okay. And then the comics which are there.
Wow, beautiful. If your friend had to describe you in 3 words, what would it be?
Ha, ha. I would say approachable, okay, and resourceful and full of gadgets.
Wow. So, since you have lived, worked in different cities of the world, which city feels like home besides Bangalore?
So, weather wise, if you go to Dallas in Texas, USA, there's hardly any difference except for the extreme hot weather and couple of months. Okay, otherwise, Dallas has got very similar weather as Bangalore. Okay, but Bangalore weather itself is changing now. Okay, when I was a child here, okay, in my childhood, we used to have very chilly winters and then very hot summers. Now my summer is pleasant, my winter is warm. Okay, but across all the places that I've lived, okay, I would say Portland, Oregon, or the northwest part of US is something that I've enjoyed. Okay, because yes, you have rains, so that got me into a habit wherein my car always had an umbrella. And even today, there's an umbrella that's there in the vehicle. Okay. And you know that you're driving somewhere, your nearest point where you can jump to or run to make sure that you're not drenched is your car. Okay. So I have an umbrella there. Okay. This is the practice that I picked from my life in Portland. But that area with so much of greenery, with so much of pleasantness, okay, is going to help you in relaxing.
Wow. So, let's make you a tour guide. If someone wants to visit Bangalore, what are the places to check in and food to have?
Well, there's a legacy tour or legacy restaurant tour that you can have in Bangalore. Okay, idli vada, dosa. Okay, and then some of the food that got innovated over here. Okay, like the rava idli that came from MTR. And if you look at idli, okay, which is your rice cake. Okay, there are different restaurants which make them in a unique manner, and the taste itself is going to be different as you walk. Okay, same thing is true with dosa also. As long as you're okay with managing the grease that's there, because the moment you complain, the quality of your food is gone. Okay, and then vada, bisbele bath, wangi bath. So Bangalore has got a trove of restaurants. Okay, I'm not going to venture into the fusion food because that's a very different beast. Yeah, but if you're in Bangalore, okay, let me know. Do let me know. Okay, we can finish, we can have breakfast, lunch, dinner for about 3 days. Cover the
Yes.
restaurants.
Thank you for the invite. Okay. My last two questions are reflective one. What legacy would like to leave behind?
Uh, it's more of looking at being, uh, I would say, covering all aspects. Okay, the family aspect, the personal life, and then the dependability that I've been able to deliver, okay, to my friends and colleagues, okay, larger family members. Okay, so I'm hoping that the touch points that we have had, okay, they have been able to benefit from that.
Wow. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Srihars in one line.
I thought I already did that.
That was from your friend's point of view. Now this is from your point of view.
From my point of view, okay,
Yes.
so I would fall back on my gizmo activities. Okay, so I'm a device man. Okay. I
Wow.
try to leverage technology as much as possible. Okay. In fact, in my corporate world, I used to be traveling a lot. And some of these trips would get redefined and changed on the fly. So me and my wife, both of us had an app, okay, wherein the moment I make changes in my
Hmm.
reservations, she was updated in real time.
Wow.
Okay. So that helped us a lot in terms of managing, okay, where I was headed, and what time I will be available. Okay. It's not that I was sharing my calendar with her, but she knew where I was headed, and she also knew which flight I was taking. And in fact, she was getting alerts ahead of me whenever there was a delay on the flights. So,
Beautiful. So let's put you in the hot seat, the rapid fire round. Uh, Strategy or execution?
strategy,
Cybersecurity or digital transformation?
cybersecurity any day.
Your go to comfort food?
Tough. Since you're from Mumbai, I would say sabudana khichdi,
Wow. Your favorite color?
orange,
Your favorite South Indian food dish?
masala dosa.
Best piece of advice received?
Sorry,
Best piece of advice received?
keep quiet and listen to others.
You're an early riser or a night owl?
I'm a very, very early riser.
No. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Coffee. I'm a South Indian.
Yeah, so we
Filter
know.
coffee.
Filter coffee. And you did well. And here's the book, which will be autographed and sent to
Thank
you.
you very much. Good to see cybersecurity being the theme on the book.
Yeah. Okay. So, our conversation today with Shears is a reminder that true leadership lies in connecting technology with humanity. Your journey spanning innovation, governance, and mentorship shows us how professionals can reinvent themselves while staying true to their values. So, like that, there are 500 plus coffee speakers sharing their professional, personal journeys, insights. Subscribe, imbibe in your life, you'll see a change in your lives. And we meet with another coffee speaker, continue conversation or a cup of coffee. So take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.